Welcome back to the Chevy pregame show on Fox. Chevy and American Revolution.
Has he done it again? Out of here!
A lot can happen in 116 years. That's how long the Cubs and Cards have been hating on each other. No reason to stop now. The Cardinals top 5 in the NL in defense, runs scored, starting pitching, patching holes, Kevin, and getting it done.
Dave Duncan, the MVP maybe for the St. Louis Cardinals so far. It's always Pujols, but Kyle Loesch has 10 wins. He's starting today. Wellmeyer's doing a nice job. Wainwright's on the DL. Somehow, any starting pitcher that goes to Dave Duncan resurrects his career. No question about it. The Cardinals, 38 wins this season from their starters. That's the most in the National League. And you know, I got to say, I mean, you throw Pinheiro in there as well. That's Dave Duncan. I mean, he simplifies things. We talked about this a couple years ago when Jeff Weaver went there. He simplifies things and gives you the game plan, and the guys have to execute.
And they get their Cy Young winner on the DL. All right, the Cubs pitching has gone from 1st to 4th in the National League. When the Big Z sat down, he is back.
Yeah, he is back, and what a big shot in the arm it is for the Chicago Cubs and Lou Piniella. He's their leader. He's their emotional guy. Ryan Dempster's having a terrific year, guys, as is Ted Lilly and the rest of the Chicago Cub pitching staff. But now they got the guy that they look to for leadership, the guy that knows how to win big games, the guy that really is the face of that pitching staff. Carlos Zambrano, Big Z is back. Watch out, Cubs.
All right, will we see him in New York? July 15th, it's the 79th Major League Baseball All-Star Game for the very last time ever from Yankee Stadium, only on Fox. And every Saturday on the Chevy pregame show, you know what we do? We reveal a group of Hall of Famers who have confirmed to participate in the All-Star Red Carpet Parade through New York's 6th Avenue and pregame festivities from the All-Star Game at Yankee Stadium. This week's Hall of Famers, Whitey Ford will be there for sure. Orioles fan favorite Jim Palmer. Big Red Machines Tony Perez. Manager Dick Williams. Cubs legend Billy Williams. A couple of 300-game winners and Don Sutton and Gaylord Perry. And 3,000 hit legends Paul Molitor and Tiger Great Al Kaline. All right. Of course, fan balloting has ended. More than 41 million votes in the final 24 hours online, so these numbers unofficial.
Yeah, it's good to see that the fans got it right out in center field. Josh Hamilton down in Texas, along with Ian Kinsler, they are the best offensive team in baseball, and Josh Hamilton is the best story in baseball, period.
And one of the most underrated players in the game, Hanley Ramirez at shortstop. The fans got this right. I hope he is a starter. The guy's hitting over 300, 21 home runs, over 20 stolen bases. No Marlin has ever done that by the All-Star break. And this guy came over from Boston in a big trade a few years ago. He deserves a start.
All right, kids, ready to quick pitch?
Let's do it.
All right, Kevin, who are your first half managers of the year?
Well, Joe Madden, for me, it has to be the guy at Tampa Bay. I mean, there's no question about that. And, of course, I love Lou Piniella, so I got to give it to Lou.
All right, Mark, we're looking for your first half MVPs.
Oh, my goodness. Chase Utley of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Back on that bus, are we?
You know what? Thank you for getting hot again, Chase. I can be a front runner again. And Josh Hamilton in the AL. The fans got it right, and deservedly so. What a player.
All right, Kevin, look for rookies of the year.
Giovanni Soto for me in the National League. You know, I picked him back in March. It's working out so far because he's doing the job. But to me in the American League, it's not Ellsbury. To me, it's Evan Longoria. The guys have been phenomenal since they signed him. Remember, he started the season in AAA. He's going to end up with over 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Underrated third baseman, too. He can flat out play defense.
All right, Mark, looking for your biggest disappointments this season so far.
Well, I think you'd have to go with the Seattle Mariners. I think a lot of people picked them to be a front runner in the West, and boy, they've just been terrible all year long, and they got a lot of work to do for years.
Biggest surprise of the season so far for you, Chad?
Oh, it's still the Rays.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to raise a lot of love. They deserve it. I mean, last year they had the worst record in baseball. This year, start coming into July. Today's the 5th. The best record in baseball. Nobody's ever done that in the history of the game.
All right, Mark, we're handing out Cy Youngs.
We're going to hand out a Cy Young in the National League.
I know where it's going.
No, it's going to Tim Lincecum. Tim Lincecum is my call there. And in the AL, oh, goodness, help me out, somebody.
Maybe Cliff Lee?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I haven't heard much about him because Cleveland's so bad, but Cliff Lee has been terrific.
I don't even want to ask you this anymore because I think we've covered them enough. But who's the best team in baseball right now?
The Rays. What else haven't I talked about? Any other bullpen guys you want to hear about? How about the starting pitching? Casimir,
all right, enough. Mark, the 4 National League teams that will be playing in October.
Chicago Cubs, Los Angeles Dodgers, Philadelphia Phillies, and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Kevin with one more opportunity to tout the Rays. Four AL teams. The Rays.
Well, you know what? I don't think the Yankees are going to make it, even though I picked them this year. I think the Rays might be in now. I know you asked for that a month ago or so, but Boston's going to be in. I wouldn't sleep on the White Sox. I think the White Sox and the Angels are going to be in there.
All right, very good. All right, Chevrolet. Player of the game predictions. You don't have to be so dead on these.
Well, you know I am a front runner.
We'll let you off the hook.
We missed every week.
Yes,
That's
I'm
why
a front runner. And last year, Kyle Loesch, he had a miserable season in Cincinnati and Philadelphia. This year, he's really turned around. So my front-running self is going to take Kyle Loesch, 10-2.
The guy traded for Hanley Ramirez, one of the guys, is Mike Lowell, and he hits Mike Mussina, 11 for 19, hitting .579 against Mike Mussina. So I'm sorry, Mike. I know you're having a good year, but Lowell, he's one guy you don't get out very well.
All right, how about Manny Ramirez? Last 4 at-bats versus Mussina, 3 home runs and a double. Got to go that way as well. And he got his ticket allotment, so he's happy. Yes, it is. For more of today's Chevrolet Player of the Game predictions, including Ken Rosenthal's picks, we invite you to visit foxsports.com/Chevy. For now, it is baseball on rivalry weekend. Yankees, Red Sox, Cardinals, Cubs. It's Fox Saturday Baseball, your game of the week on the 4th of July. As mentioned, the weather's backed off for us at Yankee Stadium. They have lifted the tarp, so first pitch scheduled on time, and we'll give you all kinds of highlights. Keep you updated on both rivalries on this weekend. Enjoy your baseball.
You're watching.
On this July 4th weekend, we welcome you to Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. Fans filing in as they get set for one of the best rivalries in baseball. The Cubs and Cardinals have been going at it since 1892. And they have the best records in the National League. Cubs in first place in the NL Central at 52-35. The Cardinals 3.5 games back following the Cubs' 2-1 victory in St. Louis last night. And a good afternoon, everybody. We welcome you to Fox Saturday Baseball. Kenny Albert along with former Cub Eric Karros. Lou Piniella's Cubs have the best record in the National League. Eric, how have they done it?
Well, they've done it with offense, and we get to see 2 of the top teams in the National League today. The Cubs leading the National League in average on-base percentage, 4th in home runs, and it's not just one guy. Everybody does it throughout the lineup, and they're doing it without Alfonso Soriano.
And Soriano on his way back took batting practice with the Cubs for the first time just hours ago. Now the Cardinals on the other side, Eric, 3.5 games out, and they have a chance today to cut that Cubs lead.
Well, they really do, and nobody expected the Cardinals to be where they're at right now, and they've done it with starting pitching. And today Kyle Loesch gets the ball, and he's going for his 11th win. Now, this is a guy that in March, the middle of March, spring training's already started, did not have a job. He's been a pleasant surprise for the Cardinals, and he looks to even the series today.
10-game winner Kyle Loesch, 9-game winner Ted Lilly for the Cubs. It's the second of a 3-game set. Cardinals and the Cubs coming up next on Fox. A beautiful Saturday afternoon here in St. Louis as we get set for the Cardinals and the Cubs. Our starting lineups are brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun here with the Cubs. Batting order is their starting second baseman, Mike Fontenot.
And here's today's starting lineup for the Chicago Cubs. Leading off, playing shortstop, Ryan Theriot. Batting second, right fielder, Kosuke Fukudome. Batting third, our first baseman, Derek Lee. Our cleanup spot, Aramis Ramirez playing third base. In center field, batting fifth, Jim Edmonds. Our catcher, Giovanni Soto, batting sixth. Batting seventh, our left fielder, Mark DeRosa. Batting eighth, me at second base. And our pitcher, batting ninth, Ted Lilly.
Our thanks to Mike Fontenot. Cubs getting set to face 29-year-old right-hander Kyle Loesch, one of 8 Major League pitchers with at least 10 victories this season.
Yeah, he's had a real nice year, and for him to be effective, he's got to throw quality strikes. He throws strike one, but it's not just to get me over, it's hitting the corners. Keep the hitters off balance. He's not a strikeout guy at all. You're going to put the ball in play. And because this Cardinal defense is ranked #1 in the National League, that's all you have to do. Let them hit it, and my guys will catch it.
Kyle Lohse suffered a loss to the Cubs back on May 3rd. He allowed 8 runs in 6 innings, one of only 2 losses this season. He has won his last 7 decisions. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. And the first pitch to Ryan Theriot, missing away. Ball 1. Theriot, the Cubs shortstop, batting .306. Fastball in for a called strike. 1-1. Theriot, Fukudome, and Lee for the Cubs here in the top of the first against Kyle Lohse on an 81-degree afternoon in St. Louis. The 1-1. Now 1-2 on Theriot.
Well, and you saw that pitch right there. That's a strike, and as a hitter, low and away right on the corner, you just got to watch it.
Lohse working quickly. The 1-2. Just missing away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the 2-2 from Lohse. Up the middle. Ryan behind second to retire Theriot. As we check out the Cardinals, they lead the league in fielding percentage. Around the infield, Pujols, Kennedy, Ryan, and Gloss. Schumacher in left, and Ankiel in center. Ryan Ludwig in right field. Yadier Molina behind the plate.
Well, and you talk about the success of the starting pitching for the Cardinals, and really they're aided by this Cardinal defense. They don't give away outs. They allow their starting pitchers to go right after the hitters with the confidence that their defense will catch the ball.
With 1 away, here's Kosuke Fukudome. Homered in the first inning last night off Braden Looper, one of 2 solo home runs hit by the Cubs as they defeated the Cardinals in the series opener 2-1. Both rookies, Fukudome and Soto, went deep, Eric, in the same game for the first time.
Yeah, and Fukudome's been a real nice addition for the Cubs. You know, since June 1st, though, he's grown a bit weary, a little bit tired, hitting a .250 coming into last night. You know, and again, it's becoming a bit of a grind. The Cubs' travel schedule has been tough. They were in Chicago. They fly out to San Francisco, then come back here to St. Louis. And it will wear down as a player.
2-2 on Fukudome. The former Cardinal Jim Edmonds. Fukudome called out on strikes.
Well, Lohse isn't known as a strikeout pitcher, but what he does have this year is pinpoint accuracy. And really, there's not a lot you can do with that pitch, maybe foul it off. But so far, with the first 2 batters, we've seen Lohse. If he does miss, it's just an inch or 2 off the plate.
Both Lohse and manager Tony La Russa give a lot of credit to pitching coach Dave Duncan for the success that Lohse has had as a Cardinal, as Derek Lee fouls the first pitch back to the screen. 0-1.
Well, and we're talking about Dave Duncan. You see Ted Lilly stretching out a little bit. But the pitching coach Dave Duncan has done wonders for a lot of different pitchers that have come through this Cardinal organization. I mean, guys that have struggled in the past, they come here and their careers resurrected. And Tony described it as, you know, usually a guy is strong as a coach in a couple different areas. But with Dave Duncan, he's strong across the board in every area. So a certain pitching coach may not be able to work with a certain guy because his strength may not be pitch counts or how to go after it. But Dunk, as I said, any kind of issue, as Tony was talking about, he's got an answer. And I'll tell you what, he's valuable as heck.
The 1-2 to Lee. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes.
When you see Derek Lee, you know, the hand coming off the bat, and then you hope for his sake, or if you're a Cubs fan, it just slipped off the bat. You don't want to think about, maybe it was a bit of pain and he was letting something go. So take a look and see how this swing looks.
The 2-2, and Lee is called out on strike. So Lohse bans 2 in the first as he retires the Cubs in order. Welcome back. The Cardinals batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. We've recruited a trio of young Cardinals fans.
Today's start lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals: Brendan Ryan, Rick Ankiel, Albert Pujols, Troy Gauss, Ryan Ludwig, Yadier Molina, Adam Kennedy, Kyle Loesch, Skip Shamaka.
Great job. Our thanks to Ethan Eastwood and brothers Chandler and Jackson Sanders as the Cardinals get set to face 32-year-old left-hander Ted Lilly.
And Ted Lilly's been on a nice little run, and when he is successful, he's able to establish that backdoor slider. And what that means, a right-handed hitter will give up on that outside pitch, but then it gets to the corner at the last minute. He's also got to pitch in with that fastball to keep hitters honest and not diving out over the plate. And I talked to pitching coach Larry Rothschild. He makes as good an adjustment, in-game adjustment, as any pitcher on the staff. If he struggles early, he's able to correct himself.
Lilly beat Kyle Loesch and the Cardinals here in St. Louis back on May 3rd. He's 4-2 lifetime against the Cards. Brendan Ryan leading off. And he drills one foul down the left field line, 0-1. Ryan in the leadoff spot for the 6th time this season, batting .266 overall.
Here's Larry Rothschild, pitching coach for the Chicago Cubs. Done a real nice job.
Ryan's bat goes flying into the third base coaching box. Jose Oquendo celebrated his 45th birthday yesterday on the 4th of July. And he receives a late present from his shortstop.
Oh, Jose. His bat just slips out of his hands and got that helicopter action heading down to third base. And that's not bad, though. You see that coming. Not like some of those bats that have been splintering and you're looking at the ball one way and the bat's coming another.
The 0-2 from Lilly, and Ryan is down on strikes. Brought back memories of Vladimir Guerrero and Tommy Lasorda in the All-Star game.
I think Jose moves a little quicker than Tommy does, though. That's for sure.
Defensively arc for the Cubs: Lee, Fontenot, Terrio, and Ramirez around the infield. DeRosa in left, Edmonds in center, Fukudome in right, and the outstanding rookie Giovanni Soto behind the plate. With one away, here's Rick Ankiel, and he drills one into right field over the outstretched glove of the second baseman Fontenot for the first base hit of the game.
Well, Rick Ankiel gets a fastball here, and he's just all over it. Boom. Right over the middle of the plate. And you see he stays back, keeps his hands close to the body, pulls them through, and then able to get extension. And you look at his head right down on the ball. Been interesting. First two hitters, they've both swung at the first pitch. I wonder if that's maybe a Cardinals game plan. We'll see how that develops throughout the game.
So with Ankiel on first, in steps Albert Pujols, who last night, and he does not swing at the first pitch from Lilly. Last night, Albert hit his 300th major league home run. Pujols becoming the 5th youngest player in history to hit number 300. Only Jimmy Fox did it in fewer at-bats. Pujols with a base hit into left field, moving Ankiel over to second. So the Cardinals with 2 on, only 1 out against Ted Lilly here in the bottom of the first. We take you back to the 8th inning here at Busch Stadium last night with Bob Howry on the mound, off the foul pole in left field, number 300 of Albert Pujols' major league career.
You know, the 5th youngest of all time to reach that number. And you know what I found interesting is, you know, talking about the 300 home runs and the milestone, this and that. And he said that's not the milestone. The milestone is 500 or 600. That just shows you what kind of goals and what kind of confidence he has.
First pitch to Troy Gloss, missing inside, ball 1. So after Lilly struck out Brendan Ryan, back-to-back singles, Ankiel and Pujols. Cardinals threatening here in the first.
Well, and interesting, too. Pujols gets a curveball to start with on the first pitch. Gloss gets a slider in, and neither one of those guys offer at it.
Fouled off to the right side, 1-1. Tony Tony La Russa's Cardinals, despite having used the disabled list 17 times this season, second place in the NL Central, 3.5 games behind the Cubs. Cardinals set a franchise record with 18 victories in the month of April. One of only 5 teams in baseball with a winning record on the road. One to Gloss, now 1-2.
And that was that backdoor slider we were talking about. It starts out off of the plate and then comes back over the corner. And as a pitcher, you hope the hitter gives up on it. But Gloss stays with it. He knows that's an effective pitch for Lilly. And see, if you get a guy looking on the outer half of the plate, that's when you can run that fastball in off the plate. And hopefully you jam the hitter or he swings through it. You know, and this is a situation right now, Kenny, 1-2, where you can throw that fastball off the inner half of the plate. So even if Troy does hit it, he'll hit it foul. But you try and catch him in on the hands.
Strikeout number 2 for Ted Lilly.
Well, he goes inside, but it's a big, slow curveball. You see, it's a big breaker on the inner half of the plate. And again, all he's hoping to do is change where Troy is looking for the ball. He's looking on the outer half of the plate. He gets something where it's that curveball. I'm going to go out a little bit. Boom, breaks in on the hands.
Tony La Russa's childhood buddy. In the opposite dugout, Tony and Lou grew up a mile apart down in Tampa. They played American Legion ball together. La Russa hit second, Finella hit third. And they've been going at it for over 2 decades as major league managers.
I'd like to know who the manager of that Legion team was. I mean, he gave those guys a bit of baseball knowledge. It's worked out for him.
First and second, 2 out. Ryan Ludwig, 2-0. Our game comparison brought to you by Cars.com.
Well, the Cubs have to get production throughout. Last night scored 2 runs. Giovanni Soto, Kosuke Fukudome on 1 pitch each. Boom, solo home runs. Cardinals just have to score runs. Last 2 games have been held to 1 run each game. They're a much better offense than that.
A 2-0 to Ludwig. And for a strike on the inside corner, 2-1. Ryan Ludwig leading the Cardinals in runs batted in with 56. Just 1 for 9 lifetime against Lilly. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ludwig's numbers compared to last season.
Yeah, you know, and I talked to some of the coaches, you know, why is he better this year? And they felt like he was getting an opportunity to play every day, that he would put those numbers up sporadically, but he'd play for a week, then wouldn't play for a week. But he's been given the opportunity, and he seized the opportunity and been very consistent.
Ludwig, left center, DeRosa. And the Cardinals are retired. They strand 2 in the bottom of the first. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. By Cars.com, where confidence comes standard. And by Gillette Fusion Power Phenom. Fusion Power, the world's most comfortable shave. Back in St. Louis, top of the second inning, Aramis Ramirez leading off against Kyle Loesch. Swings at the first pitch and flies out to Ryan Ludwig in right. Bit of a mixed reception today, although it sounds like more cheers than boos.
Right, a lot different though than last night, which the Cardinal fans acknowledged him. He tipped his cap. He acknowledged the fans, and you know that was the appropriate thing to do. Now it's game on, and he's playing for the Cubs.
0 for 4, 3 strikeouts in last night's game. The quotes have been flying back and forth over the last couple of days, which we will get into a little bit later on, between Jim Edmonds and his former manager Tony La Russa. Fastball missing inside, 1-1.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the 0 for 4 last night, 3 strikeouts, and really, you know, that whole day for him yesterday, just an emotional drain, and really even taxing physically because he had to talk to everybody. You got all kinds of things going on, and really the game is just, you know, a side note, and then to go out and you want to do well, you want to get a few hits and show everybody. You know, I'm thinking if he doesn't do anything today, that maybe by tomorrow he'll get back to normal.
Well, Edmonds spent 8 years in a Cardinals uniform, played in over 1,100 games. Tremendous defensively, 241 home runs, drove in over 700 runs, and went to the postseason 6 times in 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, and really had a flair for the dramatic as far as some of the catches that he made. You know, had that big hit against Houston, and you know, there's just so many things that he did here and was an integral part of the success. I mean, he'll forever be a St. Louis Cardinal.
Edmonds, right field. Ludwig, 2 away. So Edmonds now 0 for 5 against his former club. Traded by the Cardinals to San Diego back in December. Things did not work out as a Padre, so Jim Edmonds now wearing Cub blue.
Yeah, and again, you know, go back to his experience with the Padres. Remember, he was hurt in spring training, so didn't really have a spring training. His spring training was that first month or 2 with San Diego, and just couldn't get it going.
One guy who has gotten it going all season long is Cubs rookie catcher Giovanni Soto, who leads the National League in all-star balloting at his position. The starters will be announced tomorrow. And Soto, the 3rd Cub this inning, to fly out to Ryan Ludwig in right. A 9-pitch second for Kyle Loesch. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. Bottom of the 2nd inning in St. Louis. Kenny Albert, Eric Karros. Yadier Molina getting set to lead off against Ted Lilly. Molina, 2 hits last night, extended his hitting streak to 11 games. First pitch, shallow center. Coming on is Edmonds, and he makes the catch for out number 1. Well, Fox Sports has established Fox Sports Supports, a long-term charitable initiative devoted to raising awareness and financial assistance for health-related charities. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is our baseball charity. It grants 13,000 wishes a year to children with life-threatening medical conditions. To help make wishes come true and bring joy to kids, please visit wish.org.
That's something that Fox is doing this year. Each of the sports tied in with one charitable endeavor. And that note we got the other day talking about just the awareness and the participation. You know, it's good to be a part of that. It really is.
And we get to wear matching pins.
That's a good part about it.
Again, to make a contribution, visit wish.org. Adam Kennedy with a base hit into left field, 3rd hit of the game for the Cardinals.
Well, they're jumping on fastballs today, and whether it's the first pitch or second, you see Adam Kennedy lets the ball get deep into the hitting zone and drives the ball the other way. Not known much as a pull hitter, lets the ball come in on him, and then will shoot it out to left field.
So a 1-out base runner with the pitcher, Kyle Loesch, batting in the number 8 spot at the plate. The pitcher has batted 8th for the Cardinals in every game this season, except, of course, the games in American League ballparks.
Right.
During interleague play. Loesch looking to move Kennedy over to second, bunts it foul.
You know, and there's a number of reasons why Tony La Russa likes to do it. One reason, and really the main reason, is then you put 3 hitters ahead of Albert Pujols. So then when he comes up, there can be runners on. And you say, well, why don't you just hit him fourth? Well, if you hit him fourth, then in the first inning, Albert may not come to the plate, and you'd like to have him, your most dangerous hitter, get to the plate in that first inning and possibly cause some damage. You know, you can't argue with the success that Tony has had this year. And a lot of people are talking about this being his best year as a manager, just because he doesn't have the names out there that a lot of people are familiar with.
Fastball in for a called strike. 0-2 on Kyle Loesch. And we've seen a couple of other teams
Brewers,
at the pitcher in the number 8 spot.
Right.
Arizona earlier this season.
Yep.
But Tony La Russa's clubs through the years, Tony's done it more than any other manager.
Well, and you know that when Tony does something, there's been a lot of thought that's gone into it, and there's usually a pretty darn good reason for it.
The 0-2, Loesch swings and misses. Strikeout number 3 for Ted Lilly. 2 away here in the bottom of the second inning. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Diamondbacks head to Philadelphia to take on Chase Utley and the Phillies. Some of you will see the Twins and the Tigers. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Fox Saturday Baseball next week on Fox.
You said some of you, and that what some of you, one of them will be me. I will be in Detroit. I'll tell you, the Twins in Detroit have jumped back into that Central.
Here's Skip Schumacher. I think Detroit has become your home away from home.
Yeah. To Jim Leland, the manager there, every time he sees me, oh, you again, huh? I'll tell you, though, that from what they've done at the beginning of the year to now, they've at least salvaged their season and got a whole half to go to win that darn thing.
Tigers at the 500 mark, 43-43, 6 games behind the White Sox in the American League Central. Cubs and White Sox, both Chicago teams in first place at the midpoint. First time since 1977. It's only happened 3 times in history. Cubs and White Sox both in first place at the halfway point of the season.
And you talk to either one of those managers, and it's great to be there at the midpoint, but you know where they want to be in first at the end point.
Kennedy goes, and Lee drops the throw.
You know, now this is a tough play for a first baseman, especially when the left-handed pitcher throws it to the dugout side, because here Derek Lee has to turn and transfer the ball. If Ted Lilly throws the ball to the right field side, then Derek Lee can just turn his body and make the throw to second base. But here he's got to spin all the way around. So sure, it doesn't look good from Derek's standpoint, but it originates from the throw from the pitcher, Ted Lilly.
Kennedy credited with a steal, his 5th of the year. The 2-1 to Schumacher, just foul behind third.
Well, you see now when Ted Lilly throws the ball, Derek Lee would like to be turning clockwise, but because the throw is to his left, he's got to turn all the way around and go counterclockwise. He's got to pick up second base. He's got to make the transfer. It's a tough spot to put your first baseman in.
Kennedy takes his lead off second. The 2-2 to Schumacher. Right back to the box. Fielded by Lilly. The throw to first. And the Cardinals are retired. We'll return after a word from your local Fox station. Mark DeRosa leading off against Kyle Loesch as we begin the 3rd inning here in St. Louis. Cubs and Cardinals are scoreless. DeRosa starting in left field today. He's been a jack of all trades for the Cubs. He's played 5 different positions this year. Hit 2 home runs in a game on Monday night against the Giants, including a grand slam.
Well, and he came up in the Brave organization, and Bobby Cox loved him. You could put him in any spot. Very productive, a good hitter, has some punch.
Now 3-1 on DeRosa with Mike Fontenot waiting on deck.
You know, he's a guy that is capable of playing every day, and he almost does that here in Chicago. It's just not in the same spot.
Center field, long run for Ankiel. He looks up. It is out of here. Home run number 11 for Mark DeRosa, giving the Cubs a 1-0 lead.
Well, this is why a guy like Mark DeRosa is so valuable to any club. Is he's a guy that can fill in any spot, and he's not just somebody that's going to go up there and, you know, take a few pitches and slap the ball the other way. 11 home runs, as you mentioned. You see, stays back, gets some good extension, and goes with the pitch, drives it to right center.
We mentioned his 2 home run game on Monday. That was in Ted Lilly's last start, and he gives Lilly a lead here today.
Yeah, Ted better be buying him dinner right now with the way he swings the bat.
So DeRosa eclipses his home run total from a year ago when he hit 10. Career high 13 2 seasons ago with Texas. 2-1 now on Fontenot. Eric, our Burger King hot zone for Mike Fontenot.
Well, and you can see he likes the ball up and over the plate. A good hitter, a scrappy guy, has some thump, can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Fontenot, center field, and Ankiel reaches up and makes the catch for the first out of the inning as we say hello for the first time this afternoon to Jeannie Zalasko in Los Angeles. Jeannie.
Hello, we're up to the Bronx. Bottom 2 out. Yankees on the board thanks to Melky Cabrera. The shot to right. Here comes the mustache, and that would be Jason Giambi under there somewhere. Cabrera's 33rd RBI. It is 1-0 Yankees. Top 3 is where we sit.
Thank you, Jeannie. Red Sox have won the first 2 games of that series. 7-0 on Thursday, 6-4 yesterday. Ted Lilly swinging at the first pitch from Kyle Loesch. Fouls it off back behind the Cubs dugout. 0-1.
Well, you look at those standings, you know, every time we Boston and New York, we just naturally assume, first and second place. You look at that Tampa Bay club, and that's a 5-game spread in the loss column. You know, it's not like, oh, they're leading the division, but they're only a game ahead. 5 games in the loss column. That's what Boston is behind. Ted Lilly talking about hit the other night. 0 for 5 strikeouts. Working on number 6 right here. There it is.
Strikeout number 3 today for Kyle Loesch. Well, it's coming up a week from Tuesday. The summer's biggest event returns to Fox from historic Yankee Stadium. It all starts with the MLB All-Star Red Carpet Parade presented by Chevy, where you'll see more Hall of Famers than anywhere else outside of Cooperstown as they make a dramatic entrance up New York's 6th Avenue. The celebration begins Tuesday, July 15th at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox. Strike 1 to Terrio. Grounded out to the shortstop Ryan, his first time up. And Eric, we will find out tomorrow who will be starting in the All-Star game a week from Tuesday. Tune in to TBS tomorrow for the 2008 MLB All-Star Selection Show. Check local listings for the time in your area. Right back to Kyle Loesch. And that will do it for the Cubs in the 3rd. But Mark DeRosa has given Chicago a 1-run lead. Bottom of the third inning, Cubs leading the Cardinals 1-0 as Brendan Ryan leads off and takes the curve for strike one from Ted Lilly. Ryan struck out back in the first inning and is 0 for his last 8 overall. 0-2 on Ryan.
Well, it's the second time around for these Cardinal hitters, and the majority of them got fastballs as a first pitch, and they were very aggressive. Second time around, Lilly throwing 2 off-speed pitches here to Brandon Ryan.
And now Ryan reaches out and lines out to Edmonds in center. We spoke moments ago with Cubs skipper Lou Piniella, and we asked him about Alfonso Soriano, who's on the disabled list and took batting practice before the game today.
He looked okay. I talked to him after he took about 5 minutes or so, and he said his hand still felt weak. So he's got a ways to go. I would think 4, 5, 6 more days of batting practice before we consider doing anything with him.
You talk about the big guys on this team, Soto, Ramirez, Soriano, but a guy like Mark DeRosa, what does he mean to this club?
Well, he plays all over. He's at second base. He's in at third base. He's in left field. He's in right field. He's played a little first base. He does a heck of a job for us. And you know what? He plays all his positions well. And we hit him in that 6-7 spot in the lineup, and he provides some power for us and some good RBI production.
Lou, how excited are you about heading to New York next week for the All-Star game?
Oh, I look forward to that. I'm sorry that I had to take my good buddy's place, Willie Randolph, but you know, going back to Yankee Stadium is always special. It'll be the last All-Star game played there. I look forward to seeing all the great players and the old-timers that are coming in and just be part of the festivities, and I can hope that I can help Clint Hurdle out a little bit, let the National League win a baseball game.
Thanks, Lou. Best of luck.
Thanks. Nice talking to both of you.
Clint Hurdle, Colorado Rockies manager, selecting Lou to replace former Mets skipper Willie Randolph as one of his coaches, along with Bud Black. Terry Francona named Jim Leland and Joe Girardi to join his staff on the American League side. Lou Piniella, of course, former Yankee player, manager, general manager, broadcaster.
He's seen a lot of things at Yankee Stadium, and you know, appropriate having a successful year in Chicago, getting an opportunity to go to the All-Star game, as he mentioned, at Yankee Stadium. You see Lilly now again. He's just kind of throwing it up there, off-speed stuff to Pujols. Don't want to give him a fastball at any part of the plate, really.
Now 2-1 on Pujols, who singled to left back in the first inning. Last night joined Ralph Kiner as the only players in baseball history to hit 300 home runs over their first 8 seasons. Kiner hit 329 his first 8 years with the Pirates. The numbers for Pujols since coming off the disabled list a week and a half ago. Albert draws a 2-out walk.
Well, you know, I was talking to him yesterday about what he's done since he's come off the disabled list, and I said, man, you're making it look bad for all the rest of the guys, because usually there's that adjustment period when you come off of the disabled list, and it doesn't look like he's missed a beat, and still he's, you know, you can look at the way a pitcher will throw a hitter, what they think about him. And Albert Pujols in that at-bat, 5 straight off-speed pitches.
First walk issued by Lilly. Troy Gloss at the plate, struck out his first time up. 2 outs, bottom of the third inning. Cubs leading 1-0 on a Mark DeRosa home run in the top half. All 4 runs in this series have come via the solo home run. Our Burger King hot zone for former World Series MVP back in 2002, Troy Gloss.
Well, you can see the pitches away. He likes to get his arms extended. Doesn't have a real short swing, a bit of a longer swing. And you can see on that inside part of the plate, he has some trouble. So if you can get it hard in off the plate,
you can tie up Troy. He's a big man, 6'5", 6'6".
And I know you and he have that UCLA connection.
UCLA, boy, yeah, there you go. He was a shortstop at UCLA. But again, you know, with his size at the professional level, moved him to third and has become one of the better third basemen. Doesn't get a lot of recognition for his defense. You know, when he came here this first month, didn't have a lot of power, hit only 2 home runs in the month of April, but since then has really turned it on.
He's been to the All-Star game 4 times.
Well, you know, him getting hot or him, you know, hitting like he's done in the past is going to be important for this Cardinal ball club, because if you're an opposing team, Albert Pujols, you can't let him beat you. And if Gloss is swinging the bat like he's capable, that's just another dimension. And you can't just pitch around Albert.
One and 2 on Gloss, 2 outs, bottom of the 3rd inning. He hit only 3 home runs over the first 2 months. Now has 13. One-two from Lilly, fouled back to the screen, so Gloss stays alive. Ted Lilly, record of 9-5. He's won his last 4 decisions. Won 15 games a year ago for the Cubs. An All-Star back in 2004. Off-speed pitch missing away. 2-2.
Well, he's been able to go to any one of 3 pitches today. The curveball, the slider, the fastball. You know, you can even argue for the changeup. But the breaking ball has been working for him up to this point. So he doesn't have to be great with the other pitches. He can just be adequate because he can use that breaking ball to set up the other pitches.
Comes with the heat, and Gloss strikes out for the 2nd time. 3 innings in the books here in St. Louis. 1-0 Cubs. Busch Saturday Baseball is sponsored by the new AT&T, your world delivered. By Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by Chevy, an American Revolution. Kosuke Fukudome leading off for the Cubs here in the 4th inning against Kyle Loesch, who has allowed only 1 hit. And it left the ballpark. Mark DeRosa leading off the top of the 3rd inning with a home run, his 11th of the season. Only the 8th home run allowed by Loesch all year. 1-2 on Fukudome, who was called out on strikes back in the 1st inning. The 1-2 on the ground to the 2nd baseman Kennedy, and Fukudome is retired. Eric, time for your favorite part of the broadcast, our Gillette Fusion Power Phenom trivia question. Who are the last set of teammates to finish 1st and 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting? Cubs with 2 talented rookies in Fukudome and Soto.
I've been waiting all game for that question. And you know what? I think I have the answer. I'm not going to give it out, but I believe it might involve one of these teams.
All right, we'll give the viewers some time to think about it. Derek Lee at the plate. Lee called out on strikes, his 1st time up. A look at the numbers, the 2 Cubs rookies.
You know, Fukudome has brought patience to this ball club. And you know, when I talk about patience, offensively, he usually is up there taking a lot of pitches, usually disciplined. And as I said, this last month or so, he's tapered off a bit. The league has made some adjustments. You know, his home run last night was on the 9th pitch of the at-bat. Statistician Marty Aronoff brought that to my attention.
Marty on his night off was here counting pitches.
I believe it too. Hardest worker in the business.
Derek Lee with a base hit into right field. Second hit of the game for the Cubs. They have a one-out base runner.
Well, Derek Lee just trying to put the bat on the ball, and this is really a good pitch by Kyle Loesch. It's out over the plate, but Derek Lee being a big man and staying on the ball. See, sometimes you just have to go and let your ego go up there at the plate. You're not going to drive every ball out of the ballpark. You're not going to hit everything hard. But what you want to do is give yourself a chance. You put the bat on the ball, you give yourself a shot.
So with Leon at first, here's a Aramis Ramirez who fly to right his first time up. Now he fouls out to Pujols, and Ramirez, Eric, is now 0 for his last 27.
Well, he struggled, and he was out of town for a few days, but he'll get going.
It's heading to a personal matter. So Jim Edmonds will bat for the second time, fly to right his first time up, and we mentioned the war of words, so to speak. Edmonds, when asked about returning to St. Louis, answered, whenever you get done tying me to the Cardinals, it'll be fine. I could start getting a little bit of Cubs history in my background. Responding to the questions about his return to St. Louis this weekend.
Well, and you got to understand the context in which it was asked. This is after a number of days of constantly being asked, what do you think about being with the Cubs? You played with the Cardinals, da-da-da. And at some point, you know, you're a human being. You're just going to say, look, I'm with the Cubs now. Quit asking me. And then that's what gets out there. And then it appears like he is, you know, disowning the Cardinals from his baseball career. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. As a player, one of the tough things about playing baseball is you're dealing with the media every single day. Basketball, you don't do it. Football, you don't even sniff the media as a player. Not even close. And that thing, that wears on you, and it can take its toll both mentally and physically. And with a guy like Edmonds, all he's saying is like, look, enough. I'm done. I'm not on the Cardinals right now. Let's talk about the Cubs. And that's all he was trying to do.
Now 3-1 on Edmonds. When last season ended, Jim, in his mind, felt that looking ahead in 08, he still wanted to play every day. He did not get the sense that would be the case here in St. Louis. He was eventually traded to San Diego. Strike call on the inside corner, full count.
Well, they told him that he wasn't going to be a big part of the plans. And as a player, you know, you have the right to ask the club, hey, can you accommodate me? Can you trade me? The Cardinals were good about that. They traded him to the West Coast. But again, you know, he's just wanting to play ball. The Cubs, a great opportunity. Who wouldn't want to go to a team that could possibly get to the postseason?
Payoff pitch, and Edmonds is called out on strikes. So Lee stranded on first, middle of the fourth, 1-0 Cubs. Bottom of the fourth inning, Ryan Ludwig leading off for the Cardinals against Ted Lilly. Ludwig fly down to left his first time up. Ludwig, Molina, and Kennedy for the Cardinals here in the fourth. A towering pop up to the right side in foul territory, Derek Lee. And he makes the catch just in front of the Cardinals dugout for out number one.
Well, you know, now, again, I'm going to refer to my man in here, Marty Aronoff, telling us 0 for 13. That's what the Cardinals are in this series as far as getting the leadoff hitter on. They haven't done it at all. And that's the toughest thing to do, is if you're going to try to score runs, which they've only scored 1 run so far in this series, you've got to get your leadoff guy on.
The only run they've scored in this series, the Pujols home run in the 8th inning last night. Strike one to Molina, who flied to center his first time up when he led off back in the 2nd inning.
Well, in this ball game right now, we're in the 4th inning. They've had 4 runners on base. But again, when you're starting to do that with already an out, I mean, that just, it's a disadvantage. 1 out, a guy on second, I mean, is a lot different than a guy on second base with nobody out.
And how did the Cubs score their run? A leadoff home run. DeRosa back in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, not a lot of scoring opportunities for either club so far in this series.
Center field, Edmonds moving to his right. And Molina is retired. We take you back to our Gillette Fusion Power Phenom trivia question. Who are the last teammates to finish first and second in the Rookie of the Year award voting? And Eric, you thought that the answer might involve one of the teams that we are watching today, and you are correct.
Yep, Dwight Smith and Jerome Walton, Cubs in 1989. Best year for both of them. Neither one of them were able to follow it up. Ended up playing a few years in the big leagues, but oh yeah, I remember that.
It's happened only 6 times in Major League Baseball history, including back in '75 with the Red Sox. Fred Lynn and Jim Rice. Diving stop by Lee, and the throw to Lilly, covering to retire Kennedy. Terrific play by Derek Lee. A 7-pitch 1, 2, 3, 4th inning for Ted Lilly. Terrific play by first baseman Derek Lee to end the bottom of the 4th inning. And now Giovanni Soto leading off against Kyle Loesch as we start the 5th. Soto fly to right. His first time up. We mentioned earlier, leading National League catchers in all-star balloting. Results will be announced tomorrow on TBS. No National League rookie catcher has ever started an all-star game. Over in the American League, it's been done just once. Sandy Alomar, back in 1990, the only rookie catcher ever to start an all-star game.
Well, and Giovanni Soto made a name for himself last year when he came up in September, had a great month, and then went to the playoffs. I mean, really displaced Jason Kendall as the everyday catcher. And so I think from a comfort standpoint, he started to acclimate himself to the big leagues last year. He was able to play in some pressure games, and he's carried that into this year.
Up the middle, fielded behind the bag. And Soto is thrown out by Kennedy.
You see that man, Derek Lee, made a great play to end the inning. And you see him go after the ball. He dives for it, and that's a nice play. But for me, the better part is the feed to the pitcher. And you say, well, the feed to the pitcher, why is that important? Well, it's important. You see Ted Lilly has his glove up. He wants the ball. Now look at where he's getting it. He's getting it. He's got this far to go. He catches it and is given the ball before he gets to the bag. And there are so many first basemen that want to throw the ball right to the bag. Well, then the pitcher has to catch it and touch the base, find the base at the same time. And that's where you see a lot of misplays. Great play by Derek Lee. That's why he's a Gold Glove winner.
As a former first baseman, is that a play you would practice during spring training?
You practice it at spring training, and I remember distinctly to this day in spring training, Oral Hershiser, pitched for the Dodgers for many years, told me, look, give me the ball as soon as you can so I can run to the bag. Don't try to time it and throw it to the bag, because then I've got to do too many things at once.
DeRosa, deep center field, and Ankiel on the run, and he can't get to it. So DeRosa, who homered in the 3rd inning, is now heading for 3rd, and he is in with a 1-out triple.
Well, DeRosa not having any trouble squaring up the ball. Now this pitch hangs a bit over the plate. Because it's off speed, he's able to get extension, and Rick Ankiel just can't catch up with it. Again, look at, because of the off-speed pitch, he's out in front, and because he's out in front, he's getting extended, but he keeps his hands behind the ball. Thus, drives it and hustling all the way into 3rd base.
First triple of the season for DeRosa. He had 3 last season. He's halfway to a cycle, and he's gotten the 2 toughest hits out of the way.
Yeah, he really has. You see Mike Fontenot up at the plate, and you look at this Cardinal infield right now, and they're playing back, so you think that they're conceding the run. You see how the second base and shortstop are back deep in the deeper part of the infield? Well, then what happens is when the pitch comes, they run, they sprint in. And they did the last pitch. It'll be interesting to see. Here they go again. They're coming in. And they do that to take away the runner at 3rd base's ability to come in. You hope you get him sleeping. You see these guys back. Now, I'm wondering now, if you're doing this so early, though, as a runner, you can see that. And the last thing you want to do is have your infielders moving. You know, if they do it at a little later pace, then maybe you can deceive the runner at third base.
Here they come again. The 0-1 to Fontenot. Fastball missing inside. 1-1.
Yeah, see, I'm not so sure. Just for the sake of doing it, you know, you come jogging in, you start back, you jog in. Now, if you want to start him in, just start him in. I mean, you're not tricking anybody in this situation. The only thing you do is if you decide to stay back. But so far right now, we've had 2 pitches, and both times they come sprinting in. And here they come again.
Pitch out. DeRosa back in.
I mean, all you're doing is getting some cardio work out there at second and short. I mean, it just, you're running in, you're going back.
One from Loesch, missing away. Now 3-1 with the pitcher Lilly waiting on deck.
Now you can't give him anything good to hit right now. I mean, I almost would walk him in this situation because you're bringing your infielders in. You give him anything near the zone, all he's got to do is put the ball in play, and you figure Fontenot will probably swing because Lilly's on a stretch right now of 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts.
The 3-1. There is ball 4, so the Cubs now have runners on the corners with 1 out and Lilly coming up. We spoke moments ago with Cardinals manager Tony La Russa, and we asked Tony about the success that pitching coach Dave Duncan has had not only with Kyle Loesch this season but with so many pitchers here in St. Louis.
Years. Well, just throughout the years, I just don't think you can bring a pitcher that has some potential onto our club, and Dunk has all the abilities to help whatever it is. I've just seen him do it too many times. Right-handers, left-handers, young guys, old guys, starters, relievers, quiet, loud. I mean, he's just amazing.
Adam Wainwright, close to coming off the disabled list, hopefully a big part of your staff. What's going on with him?
A real freaky thing to the tip of that index finger, and you know, he was having an all-star type first half, so that was a tough break. He's recovering well. We'll get some important information on Monday, but it won't be anything sooner than, you know, after the All-Star break, maybe the 1st of August.
Tony, you grew up with Lou Piniella, and we chatted with Lou about your days in American Legion ball. What are some of your early memories of Lou?
Well, I just thought Lou was one of the best athletes of our time. You know, when we were growing up, he's a terrific basketball player. Really had all kinds of abilities in baseball. He's a pitcher, a hitter, very competitive. In fact, he's so much more mellow now than he was then, and you know he's not mellow now. But he just, I like Lou. In fact, I love Lou because he's very honest in the way he competes, and you get his best shot all the time.
Thanks, Tony. Best of luck.
Okay.
Friends since childhood. They've managed against each other in the major leagues since 1986, including the 1990 World Series.
Reds and A's. Lou got the best of him there.
A 4-game sweep. Loesch fakes the throw to third, looks towards first.
Now you see now the infielders are playing back. They're playing for a double play. They figure if Lilly does make contact, which again, he's on a roll right now, 0 for his last 6 with 6 strikeouts. They play back in order to possibly turn the double play.
7 for 7. Lilly strikes out for the 7th consecutive time. Our in-game box score for the Cubs brought to you by Avo Dart. DeRosa with a couple of hits, a home run back in the 3rd inning, and a triple here in the 5th. Derek Lee with the other Cubs base hit in the 4th inning. 1st and 3rd with 2 outs for Ryan Theriot, who is 0 for 2. DeRosa the runner on 3rd. Fontenot, who walked, is over at 1st. Cubs lead 1-0 on the DeRosa home run off Loesch back in the 3rd inning.
You know, a lot of people dislike that move, that third fake to third and then try and catch the guy off first base, but you know, you do it over and over. And if you get one guy just one time, you know what? You're going to do it over and over and keep trying it, no matter how mundane it may seem.
The 1-1 to Terrio. Nice block by Molina. Now 2-1.
Molina does a nice job of saving a run. It's a breaking ball in the dirt, and he shifts his feet to get in front of the ball. So even if he doesn't glove it cleanly, which he did do, because he's squared up to the ball, it can hit off his chest protector and just stay in front of him, thus keeping the runner from third base from scoring.
Three balls, one strike. First and third, 2 outs. Kosuke Fukudome waiting on deck.
And this is where you still have to make a pitcher's pitch. Just because it's 3-1, it's okay to walk him in this situation and start anew against Fukudome. What you don't want to do is say, okay, I don't want to walk this guy, so I've got to throw him a strike, because right now he will be aggressive at the plate.
Terrio sends one into right field, scoring DeRosa, giving the Cubs a 2-0 lead. RBI number 23 for Ryan Terrio.
Well, this is a nice job by Terrio. He's got a hitter's count, a 3-1 situation, but he still knows all he's got to do is get a base hit. Now you look at that pitch right there. That's really a good pitch by Kyle Loesch. It's out of the zone. It's a breaking ball low and away, and Terrio has the discipline to just punch it to right field. Some guys get up there, they think 3-1 count, I'm going to kill it, I'm going to overswing. That gets yourself into trouble. Again, that's putting ego aside, comes in, does the job.
Here's Fukudome, 0 for 2. Struck out back in the first inning, grounded out in the fourth. 2-0 Cubs. DeRosa, a 1-out triple here in the fifth. Fontenot walked. Lowe struck out Lilly, and then Terrio drove home DeRosa with a base hit to right. 1-1 on Fukudome.
You see that Japan, a pretty darn good hitter, 305. Hit a few home runs. Hasn't had the power here that they thought they might be getting. But again, what he has shown and what he's brought to this ball club is the plate discipline, the ability to string out an at-bat, to make the pitcher work. You know, it's one thing to get out. It's another thing, though, to get out and have a productive out. You know, if you're up there and you wear the pitcher down, you're helping your teammates. You're letting them see some of the pitches.
Two-time Central League batting champion Japan. Fukudome held up. So the count now 2-2. Fontenot on second, Terrio on at first. Loesch just missing away. He thought he had strike 3.
Again, when Kyle Loesch misses, it's usually not by much. He has excellent control. We've seen it today. And even some of the balls that the Cubs have hit outside of the DeRosa home run, they haven't been that bad of pitches.
Runners go, payoff pitch, fouled off, so Fukudome stays alive.
You know, just because somebody gets a hit or somebody strikes out, you know, you can't always say, oh, well, this guy didn't do his job. Or what. Sometimes you have to give credit to the other player. You know, again, Loesch has made some nice pitches. He made a nice pitch on Ryan Terrio. Again, Ryan Terrio did a nice job of going the other way. It's not always somebody's fault when there isn't success.
Time called by the home plate umpire Dana Demuth. 2-0 Cubs. A run in the third. A run here in the fifth. Mark DeRosa has scored both. Runners go. Payoff pitch. Grounded to the first baseman, and Pujols will take it to the bag to end the inning. But the Cubs take a 2-0 lead. Middle of the fifth in St. Louis.
Boom, breaks in on.
It's up. A 2-1 victory for the Cubs last night here in St. Louis. They lead this game 2-0. From Busch Stadium, Kenny Albert, Eric Karros. Kyle Lohse will lead off here in the bottom of the fifth inning against Ted Lilly. Lohse struck out his first time up after attempting to move the runner Kennedy over to second. Lohse just 3 for 34 this season. Kyle Lohse, originally drafted, Eric, by the Cubs back in 1996, spent 2.5 years in their system. Was traded to Minnesota back in May of '99 in the Rick Ankiel deal.
Rick Ankiel, fine closer for many years.
Kyle Lohse spent 5.5 seasons as a member of the Twins, won a career high 14 games back in '03. They eclipsed that in a couple of weeks. He's won 10 for the Cardinals this season and has a career low earned run average, 3.67 coming into the game today. He's never finished the season below 4.
Well, and he credits Dave Duncan and what he's been able to do for him. You know, preparing him for the game, but really to design a plan. And then, you know, it's one thing to talk about what you want to do. It's another thing to go out and execute. And, you know, that's what Dave Duncan, you know, has been able to do with him is show him the way to execute what he wants to do.
The 2-2 from Lilly. Lohse gets the bat on it. Terrio, long throw, and Lohse is retired. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Chevy and American Revolution. One out, bottom of the fifth inning. Cubs started the day with a 3.5 game lead over the Cardinals in the National League Central. Cubs looking to make it to the postseason in back-to-back seasons for the first time in 100 years. They made the postseason, the World Series, back in 1907 and 1908. They have never been back to the postseason consecutive years since.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, you just think that just the law of averages says you'll get back there. And, you know, for me, it's you look at what the Cubs have done and some of the opportunities that they've had. Then you look at a team like the Florida Marlins, a franchise like the Florida Marlins, and, you know, 15+ years, you know, they've gone to the World Series twice and won it twice. It just doesn't make any sense.
Colorado Rockies got to the World Series last October. Another recent expansion team.
Yep. Well, what about Arizona? Diamondbacks won a World Series against the Yankees in 2001.
One, two to Schumacher. Skip got a piece of it. Bounce to the right side, foul, so Schumacher stays alive. Fontenot to Derek Lee, 2 away. Well, Eric, we take you back to 1908. The world champion Cubs, they defeated the Tigers in 5 games. The offense led by shortstop Joe Tinker, second baseman Johnny Evers, and first baseman Frank Chance. Mordecai Three-Finger Brown won 29 games for the Cubs that year. Teddy Roosevelt was the president. The Model T Ford introduced. Mother's Day celebrated for the first time. Jack Johnson, the heavyweight champ. Postage stamp was 4 cents. The average major league salary, $2,500. Think you could survive on that?
Back then, I bet I could. I'll tell you that. I thought I saw Mark Grace in that team photo, too. We didn't identify him.
And gas cost $4 a gallon back in 1908. Just kidding. By the way, so Teddy Roosevelt was the president. On the mound today for the Cubs, throwing this pitch, Theodore Roosevelt Lilly.
Wow. Well, there you go. I'd have never have known that. Theodore Roosevelt Lilly.
Theodore Roosevelt Lilly. A 1-2 to Ryan. Diving stop by Derek Lee. He does it again with the toss to Theodore Roosevelt Lilly for the final out of the inning. Guess who's leading off for the Cubs when we come back? D. Lee. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Avodart. By Sprint, get more done with Nextel Direct Connect, only on the Now Network. And by beautiful, durable Valspar paint. Valspar, the beauty goes on. Derek Lee with a base hit into left field, leading off the 6th inning for the Cubs.
They're jumping on that first pitch. Derek Lee gets a pitch at fastball that comes back in over the plate. So he stays back and gets the hands through. You know, and he's done something that his Cardinal team has yet to do in this series, and that's leadoff hitter of an inning, get on base.
Second time the Cubs have had the leadoff man on today. Here's Aramis Ramirez, 0 for 2 today. Coming into this game, Eric, his numbers against Loesch in his career, he was 5 for 5 with a home run. But Loesch has gotten the better of Aramis so far this afternoon.
Well, and interesting, his first 2 at-bats, he swung at the first pitch, and you could tell this at-bat, he went up there, he was taking the first pitch regardless.
Takes the second pitch for a called strike. 1-1. He's 0 for his last 27. You mentioned earlier he left the team for 3 days earlier this week, tending to family matters in the Dominican. 2 weekends ago against the White Sox, he hit 4 home runs in 3 games during that interleague series, but now is looking to get back on track.
You know, but that's the way this game goes. I mean, very rarely will you find a guy that's just consistent the entire year or consistent the entire month. There's those peaks and valleys, and you know, 2 weeks ago he looked like the best hitter in all of baseball. Right now it's a real struggle. But you know, 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's not really representative of what a player is or is not. And we just saw Chase Utley, the Phillies, an MVP candidate, absolutely tearing the cover off the ball, and then went through a stretch similar to what Aramis Ramirez is going through right now. But that's the beauty of baseball. It's every day you have an opportunity to redeem yourself. When things aren't going well, you know, sometimes it snowballs. When things are going well, you know, you can ride a streak.
The 2-2. Ramirez pops it up. Shallow right center. Coming out of the right fielder Ludwig, and he makes the catch to retire Aramis Ramirez. Our game summary brought to you by Sprint Productivity. Mark DeRosa with a solo homer and a triple. He has scored both runs in this game. Troy Gloss now 0 for 18 this season against the Cubs. He struck out twice today. And Eric, as you've pointed out a couple of times, Cardinals in the series, their leadoff men are 0 for 14.
And that's tough. It's tough to sustain any type of, you know, rally when you're starting with nobody on and 1 out every time.
Jim Edmonds today 0 for 2, called out on strikes his last time up. We showed you one of Edmonds' quotes from last week. He was asked about returning to St. Louis as a member of the Chicago Cubs. Tony La Russa yesterday, as the Cubs came to town, was asked to respond, and here's what Tony had to say.
Tony, are you there?
I was disappointed in his comments. You know, he's made about half a dozen of them, and you know, we've had guys like Edgar and Mike Matheny and so Taguchi, and I would just respect what he said. You know, he's a Cub. He wants to don't want to be bothered with the Cardinal thing. I think when he retires, you recognize him. So I think we should just ignore him.
Well, Edmonds now 0 for 7 as he flies out to Schumacher and left, and then Jim Edmonds, before the game yesterday, was asked to respond to Tony La Russa's rebuttal.
A little strange, definitely on this side of the field. The field looks different from over here, but I mean, this is a job. I mean, this shirt right here doesn't change who I am. Doesn't make my name change. Doesn't make my family any different. Doesn't make me play any harder or any less hard. I think this whole thing's been blown out of proportion, and all I try to do is get the media in Chicago off my back from asking me questions about how I feel about being a Chicago Cub, and I think somebody's put a spin on it and made it a little bit more than it should have been.
Got to be fair, Jim Edmonds also said yesterday, Tony has been and is like a father to me.
Yeah, you know, and there's some other quotes that Jim Edmonds attributed to Jim Edmonds, one of which he said, look, the time in St. Louis was the best years of my life. You know, so again, it's something that, you know, as he mentioned, you know, I don't know if it was a spin as much as things were just taken out of context, as, you know, sometimes, you know, the media likes to do. You know, some guy will just say one thing, and, you know, it's after a long diatribe, but they'll just pick that little part out and put that up in the headlines, and, oh, so-and-so said this. And it just adds fuel to the fire. Then you go to the other guy, you ask for a reaction, and, you know, trying to make something that, you know, really there's not much there.
And Jim also said, I needed a job. Just because you got fired by Chevy doesn't mean you can't work for Ford. Cubs and Cardinals, of course, longtime rivals, and Jim Edmonds now wearing a Cubs uniform.
You know, there's only one guy that I can remember that was traded to a rival, and instead of going there, retired, and that was Jackie Robinson. When he was with the Dodgers, was traded to the Giants, said, not happening, I'll retire.
Soto draws a 2-out walk as Dave Duncan comes out for a visit with Kyle Loesch. You may have noticed the logo on any of the players' caps today. Major League Baseball and the McCormick Foundation coming together in support of Welcome Back Veterans, an awareness and fundraising initiative to address the mental health and job needs of returning American veterans. The goal is to raise $100 million and provide 100,000 job opportunities for veterans. And this weekend, all players from all Major League Baseball teams are wearing these Stars and Stripes caps, which are also available on sale to the public. All proceeds going to Welcome Back Veterans, and MLB.com will auction off a set of game bases, game-worn caps, custom lineup cards, and a specially designed team jersey to benefit the cause. So all teams around baseball wearing these special Stars and Stripes caps this weekend. DeRosa may want to hold on to his when you look at what he's been able to do today.
Yeah, he's hit the ball hard every time up, and I think that's why Dave Duncan goes to the mound prior to DeRosa coming up. You see he gets that pitch out over the plate. He drives it to right center for a home run. Got the Cubs on the board, and then an off-speed pitch. It gets extension and gets into third base with a triple. Again, Duncan goes out there, talks to Loesch, and says, look, this is what you might want to do. This is where we want to try to pitch him, and here's something that you can take with you. And so far, he's worked ahead in the count. He's 0-2, and really you have the hitter at your mercy. With a guy like Loesch, got to hit a corner or go off the plate right now.
Here's the 0-2. DeRosa gets the bat on it, fouls it off to the right side. First and second, 2 outs. Loesch over 100 pitches. We are in the top of the 6th inning here in St. Louis with the Cubs leading 2-0. Lee takes his lead off second. Soto off first. And DeRosa becomes strikeout victim number 6 for Kyle Loesch as the Cubs strand 2 in the 6th. Bottom of the 6th inning here in St. Louis. Rick Ankiel leading off against Ted Lilly. Ankiel is 1 for 2, has one of the 3 Cardinals hits today. Cardinals' last hit came back in the 2nd inning. Ankiel, Pujols, and Gloss for the Cards here in the 6th. Ankiel is shot deep right field. It is out of here into the bullpen. And right, 18th home run of the season for Ankiel. The Cardinals are on the board.
Ankiel does a nice job of staying back. This ball is out over the plate. Lilly probably wants to get it in more. Ankiel gets extension. 18th home run of the year.
Cardinals pulled to within a run. Here's Pujols. Fastball in for a strike. Rick Ankiel now tied with Albert Pujols for the team lead with 18 home runs. And since he was recalled from the minor leagues last August 9th, this is incredible. Ankiel leads the Cardinals with a total of 29 home runs.
Yeah, he's really been special for them. We all know the story of former pitcher and then goes back to the minor leagues and reemerges as an outfielder. You know, the thing with him, he just needs to be more consistent. He can get real hot, he gets real cold. If you can get that consistency where he doesn't have those real dry spells, he can really be a special player.
Back in 2000, set a Cardinals rookie record with 194 strikeouts. Finished second in National League Rookie of the Year voting to Rafael Furcal. And here we are 8 years later. He's tied for the team lead in home runs with Pujols. Pujols at the plate. The 2-2 from Lilly. Foul back. Pujols has reached base twice today. Single in the first. He walked in the third. On this day after, he became the 5th youngest player in history to reach 300 home runs. Two from Lilly. Deep left center. And it bounces over for a ground rule double. So the Cardinals, who had been without a hit since the 2nd inning, with back-to-back extra base hits here in the 6th.
You see Albert known for not having a stride, and you can see that ball is in on him, but he pulls his hands real close to his body that allows him to get the barrel out. You know, he doesn't drive this ball like he normally is capable, but he's able to get the barrel of the bat on the ball and get it to left center.
So with Pujols on at second, nobody out. Here's Troy Gloss, who has struck out twice today. And does not have a hit against the Cubs this season. Nothing in 2.
Now, Gloss is an RBI guy, and maybe the first The first pitch, you say, okay, I'm going to try and drive him in. The second strike or so, that's when you got to figure, I got to move Pujols over. I've got to get him to third base somehow. Now you're 0-2. All you're looking to do is put the bat on the ball. Either get the base hit or at the very least somehow get Pujols to third base.
Check swing, foul. Ball stays alive. Our AutoZone strike zone.
But both pitchers doing a nice job. Ted Lilly a bit more efficient, only 78 pitches. And Kyle Loesch has been around the plate, but again, they've limited each other's team's scoring opportunities. It's not like there have been rallies every inning.
Second time they've matched up against one another over the last 2 months. And Gloss goes down on strikes for the third time today. He's now 0 for 19 with 9 strikeouts against the Cubs this season.
Well, and this is a fastball that's out over the plate. Really an ideal pitch to drive the other way, but it had been preceded by a curveball that Glaus did a check swing and it come in on his hand. So Glaus worried about that pitch on the inner half of the plate. Lilly runs a fastball up and away, and Glaus swings right through it.
So with one away, here's Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig 0 for 2, fouled out to the first baseman Lee his last time up. And a curve from Lilly is in for a called strike, 0-1.
You know, Lilly doing a really good job of working both sides of the plate. You know, a lot of times a pitcher will have command just on one side, so as a hitter, you know, you can look to that part of the plate. But Lilly off speed in, fastballs in, fastball away.
Runner goes and Pujols steals third.
You know, Ted Lilly just forgets about him, and Pujols gets in there standing up, and he figures, look, if I can't get to third, one of my guys moving me over, I'll get there myself. And see the Cubs infield on the right side playing in. Shortstop Terrio halfway.
Tying run just 90 feet away. Ludwig, base hit, tie ball game. Pujols steals third. He now scores. Ludwig is in standing at second. An RBI double for Ryan Ludwig, his team leading 57th, one batted in.
Ludwig stays with the pitch and just drives it. All he has to do is make contact. He's not trying to kill the ball. Keeps his head down on it. And Pujols going back to the bag, which is a smart play, because if Ramirez does field that, he'll be dead at home plate. So good base running, even a little applause on the way home. Ryan Ludwig has done a nice job for the Cardinals. Given the opportunity, he's been very productive this year. 57th RBI on the season.
Not the first member of his family to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. His brother Eric was a right-handed pitcher who was traded at the deadline, July 31st, 1997, straight up from Mark McGwire.
Yep. How'd that trade work out for the Cardinals? Is that good?
Eric Ludwig, 31 appearances in his major league career, record of 2-10 with the Cardinals, the A's, the Marlins, and the Blue Jays. Brother Ryan getting the job done this season. Rick Ankiel led off the inning with a home run. First time the leadoff man has done anything in this series for the Cardinals. And they wind up tying the game and the potential for more. Ludwig takes his leadoff second. Yadier Molina at the plate. Molina has flied out to the center fielder Edmonds twice. One of 3 catching Molinas in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, Benji Molina having a real nice year with the Giants. 50 RBIs, hitting .297, and Yadier in the midst of a hot streak right now, swinging the bat well, and Jose doing a nice job with the Yankees filling in when Jorge Posada was down.
Cardinals have tied the game at 2 here in the 6th. Molina with an 11-game hitting streak. He's 0 for 2 today. 1-2. Lilly frustrated. Allowed a couple of runs here in the 6th. Kyle McClellan up in the Cardinals pen. Neil Kotz up and throwing in the Cubs pen. Molina reaches out, slow roller, fielded by Ramirez. Unable to scoop it up. 1st and 3rd with only 1 out for the Cardinals. An infield hit for Molina.
Well, Ted Lilly's got to be frustrated right now, just because after the Ankiel home run, the Pujols double, he has Glaus 0-2, ends up striking him out. Then he has Ludwig 0-2, gives up the base hit double. Molina 1-2, gives up a base hit. So he's been 1 pitch away from getting things in his favor, but he hasn't been able to execute.
4th hit of the inning for the Cardinals. Adam Kennedy at the plate, 1 for 2, robbed by Derek Lee back in the 4th inning. First pitch, long foul to the left side. Kyle Loesch has come out into the on-deck circle. He is due up next in the number 8 slot.
You know, we talked about Adam Kennedy in his previous at-bat, how he likes to go the other way. His first at-bat, I should say. You know, this is a situation with Derek Lee holding the runner on at first base. It's a great opportunity to just pull that ground ball through that open right side.
Curve just missing inside.
You see right here, this whole side is open with Derek Lee over at first base holding the runner on. You get an off-speed pitch or something that you can hit for a ground ball, you get it through the right side.
Tony La Russa coming out of the dugout to ask for time because there is a baseball in shallow left center. Not sure where exactly that came from. One ball, 1 strike on Kennedy. 1 out, runners on 1st and 3rd. Bottom of the 6th inning in St. Louis. Fastball, Lilly missing away, 2-1.
Yeah, I would think Ted Lilly wants to stay away from anything off speed from the middle of the inner half of the plate. You know, again, because Kennedy can go out and just roll that ball over to the right side. If he does anything, you want to stay away. The hard stuff away and the breaking stuff away.
4-6-3. The Cubs turn 2. But they tie the game on the Ankiel home run and a Ludwig RBI double. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Cubs first place in the National League Central. Cardinals 3.5 back. The clubs with the 2 best records in the National League going at it this weekend here in St. Louis. Cardinals 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning to tie this game at 2. Mike Fontenot leading off and takes a called strike on the first pitch from Kyle Loesch. Fontenot fly to center and walked his last time up. Matt Merton has come out into the on-deck circle with the pitcher Ted Lilly due up next. Fastball missing inside, 2-1. Fly ball center field. And Ankiel is under it, 1 away. Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball, is proud to present the June nominees for the Pepsi Clutch Performer of the Month award, including Cubs third baseman Aramis Ramirez. Be sure to vote for the Pepsi Clutch Performer of the Month by logging on to PepsiClutch.com. The nominees over in the American League, as well as Diamondbacks starting pitcher Dan Herron, a former St. Louis Cardinal. So now Merton will pinch hit for Lilly. Merton 2 for 10 as a pinch hitter this season.
You know, he's had a few opportunities the last few years, Matt Merton, to win that job in left field. Hadn't been able to get a hold of it. You see Kyle Loesch peering in.
Merton with a line drive, and it's caught by Kennedy. Nice timing by the Cardinals second baseman to retire the pinch hitter Merton. Fox Sports and Bank of America MLB Banking present Yankee Stadium's greatest baseball moments. July 24th, 83, top of the ninth, George Brett. Go-ahead home run off Goose Gossage. Yankees manager Billy Martin argued that Brett's bat had too much pine tar on it. Umpire Tim McClellan reversed the homer, incorrectly calling Brett out. The outburst that followed would become known simply as the pine tar incident. To vote for your favorite moment, that will be revealed during the 2008 All-Star Game. And to learn more about Bank of America MLB Banking, log on to foxsports.com, keyword moments. Ryan Theriot drove in a run his last time up, a 2-out single, his second hit of the game. And Eric, you and I had a chance to chat with Lou Piniella before the game. And here is Lou's top 5 list, his top moments in Yankee Stadium history, and he was a member of the New York Yankees for all 5.
Yeah, you know, I think I remember watching that World Series in '77, Greg Nettles, you know, doing all those great plays over at third base. You know, the Chambliss home run. I think that was, I want to say it was off Mark Littell, if I'm not mistaken.
The Dave Righetti no-hitter, 25 years ago yesterday. Struck out Wade Boggs for the final out. Righetti moved to the bullpen a year later.
Yeah. You know, for me still, though, that the Yankee moment that I remember most, and we talked about it last night, was 2001, President Busch throwing out the first pitch, the World Series. I just represented a lot of different things, you know, after the 9/11 incident. You know, baseball really having a huge role in bringing this country back to its feet. I get chills still thinking about that.
Runner goes, and Fukudome for the ground ball to the second baseman Kennedy.
And Piniella's out to argue.
What a great call. You're doing a fantastic job, but people expect me to come out here and be upset, so I'm going to kick some dirt. You understand? Yeah, I understand that. Well, lately I've been feeling happy and content. Yeah, you seem different.
Lou is really giving it to him.
You better kick me out of this game. I've got a reputation to uphold. Fine, you're out of here. Say hello to the message.
I will. You do the same. Drinking water makes you feel better and a lot less irritable. So make your body happy. Drink Aquafina.
Heartburn, Gene.
Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get to the zone, AutoZone. By Aquafina, the official water of Major League Baseball. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Bottom of the 7th inning here in St. Louis. Cubs and Cardinals are deadlocked at 2. Neil Kotz, the only left-hander in the Cubs bullpen, on in relief of Ted Lilly, making his 18th appearance of the season, and he will face a Cardinals pinch hitter. Batting for Kyle Loesch will be Brian Barton.
And the Cardinals hoping that they can do something similar to what they did last inning. I'm not talking about necessarily scoring the runs. I'm talking about getting that leadoff hitter on. You know, the first time in the series that they were able to get the leadoff hitter on base, and they ended up good things happening, scoring some runs.
Barton, as a pinch hitter this season, 8 for 29 with a home run. And he takes a called strike. Barton, out of the University of Miami, spent 3 years in the Indians organization, an aerospace engineering major who interned at Boeing. Barton will be followed by Schumacher and Ryan. Cardinals tied the game with 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Fastball 1-2. Kotz in relief of Lilly, who went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs on 7 hits. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 1 home run. Kotz faced 1 batter last night, and he struck out Rick Ankiel. Barton strikes out, pinch hitting for Kyle Loesch. 1 away here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Well, the All-Star game coming up on Fox Tuesday, July 15th. It gets underway with the MLB All-Star Red Carpet Parade presented by Chevy. You'll see more Hall of Famers than anywhere else outside of Cooperstown as we check out the parade route. The celebration begins Tuesday, July 15th at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, Eric, but the 2009 All-Star game will be played right here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It'll be the first All-Star game in this city since 1966. Fontenot with a nice backhand play, and Schumacher with a head-first slide into first. And he talked about that earlier this week. Tony La Russa not happy with some past head-first slides into first by Schumacher. La Russa feels you get there quicker if you don't slide head first.
And you know, that's something though that he's done probably his entire career, and that's something that, you know, you're just going to go on instinct when you're out in the heat of the battle and you're out playing, and you know, it's something that he's done, and he's not running down there thinking, you know what, Tony told me not to head first slide. He just does it. You know, you can't argue with the effort.
Schumacher's counter argument was, if you're an outfielder, you get to the ball quicker if you try and dive to make the catch. So why wouldn't it work that way when you're running the bases?
That's not a good argument, because you can touch the bag with your foot. You're catching the ball with your hands. You're not catching it with your foot. I mean, I haven't seen anybody catch it with their foot. Now, arguably, I guess they could, but
well, Schumacher's thinking about it in the Cardinals dugout.
I hope Tony had a good response for that, because
we will if Schumacher ever goes on to play for the Cubs. Yeah. By the way, Tony La Russa, who played 132 games in the major leagues, made his final appearance as a player in 1973 as a Cub. He played in 1 game with the Cubs back in April of '73.
Did not know that.
Did not have an at-bat in the game, but he did enter the game, so he is on the all-time roster of the Chicago Cubs. We had a look at the next couple of all-star sites. St. Louis next year, Anaheim in 2010.
Yep.
3-1 to Ryan. I mentioned the last all-star game in St. Louis, 1966. It went 10 innings, winning run scored by Tim McCarver. in the first year of the old Busch Stadium.
Yeah. You know, that's amazing, this city with the tradition and the history that, you know, there hasn't been an all-star game here for almost 40 years.
I was amazed by that. Ryan down on strikes. A 1-2-3 seventh for Neil Kotz. Right now, Jeannie Zelasco, take it away.
Welcome to the DirecTV Game Break, sponsored by DirecTV, the best way to watch sports. On July 15th, right here on Fox, the greatest collection of baseball Hall of Famers will gather at Yankee Stadium for the 79th Major League Baseball All-Star Game. This week's Hall of Famers: Whitey Ford, Orioles fan favorite Jim Palmer, the Big Red Machines, Tony Perez, manager Dick Williams, Cubs legend Billy Williams, a couple of 300-game winners in Don Sutton and Gaylord Perry, and 3,000 hit legends Paul Molitor and Tiger great Al Kaline. This has been the DirecTV Game Break.
Cubs and Cardinals tied at 2 as we move to the 8th. Ryan Franklin, who has been the closer in the absence of Jason Isringhausen, will come on to pitch the 8th inning for the Cardinals today. Our game summary brought to you by Flomax. Jim Edmonds 0 for 3 today. He was 0 for 4 yesterday. Yadier Molina with an infield hit in the 6th inning, now with a 12-game hitting streak. And Rick Ankiel with his 18th home run of the season as the Cardinals scored 2 in the 6th to tie this game.
Well, Franklin doing a nice job, and he's really been versatile because if he needs to go into that closer mentality, he's able to do that. He can throw middle relief. He used to be a starter early in his career. You see, Derek Lee, we were watching, watch his back foot, and each of these, how he triggers his whole at-bat by kind of turning that right foot away towards home plate. He pushes the heel towards home, and all that is a starting mechanism. It allows him to free his hips. Now, I wouldn't recommend that at home. I wouldn't start teaching young kids, but watch that right heel on both of them. You see how he turns it a little bit? That's his mechanism, and every hitter has some sort of trigger to get them going. Whether it's hands, whether it's body, whether it's lower half, there's something there. Now, again, would I teach that from the get-go? Absolutely not.
Lee with a base hit into the left field corner, his 3rd hit today. Derek Lee in standing at second. And the Cubs have the leadoff man on here in the 8th.
But actually, I'd start teaching that stance to everybody right now after his 3rd hit. But as we talked about, he gets that little trigger going, that foot, and then he gets the extension. Now, Derek Lee, a big man, you see that right foot? He just little trigger to get things going. It's very hard to hit from just a static position because the pitcher's coming at you, and if you're not moving, if you don't have some sort of looseness, some sort of fluidity, very hard to start and get going if you're just set in stone. Very tough to do. You've got to be some kind of strong. That gets him going, able to get the bat through the zone.
So with Lee on at second, nobody out, here's Aramis Ramirez. 0 for 3 today. No hits in his last 28 at-bats.
Well, see, Aramis Ramirez has not had good at-bats at all today, and he has a chance right now to either feel good about himself by driving in a run or saying, look, I'm not swinging the bat well. My only job right now is to hit the ball to the right side, get Derek Lee to 3rd base. And this is where you have to know yourself, know how you're feeling. Drive the ball to the right side. Forget trying to drive the ball in the alley or something. Get him over.
We saw Ramirez's numbers in the late innings. Cubs as a team from the 7th inning on have outscored their opponents by 39 runs. The 2nd overall in Major League Baseball in runs scored, trailing only the Texas Rangers. The 2-0, Ramirez deep left center. And Aramis Ramirez has given the Cubs a 4-2 lead. His 15th home run of the season.
Well, this is why a guy like Aramis Ramirez is so dangerous. Has 3 real bad at-bats and then comes up and gets a pitch that Ryan Franklin misses, sets up outside, it's over the middle of the plate, and he gets extension, just waits for it, and drives the ball to dead center. Aramis Ramirez is very good with that pitch in the middle of the plate to the outer half of the plate because he can get great extension. When they get in on his hands, a little tougher for him to get that extension. A nice at-bat.
So Ramirez breaks out of an 0 for 28 slump in a big way. A 2-run shot in the 8th inning, putting the Cubs back on top. 1-1 on Edmonds. Jim Edmonds 0 for 3 today. 0 for 7 in the series.
You know, interesting as a hitter too. It's, you know, Ramirez hits the home run right there. And you just wonder what was going through his head up at the plate, because a lot of times as a hitter, when you're up there just trying to move the ball over, hit the ball to the right side, or not try to do too much, that's when you have your best result, because you're staying within yourself and you're not trying to make something happen. You know, and then he falls into that ball over the plate. He's fluid. He hits the ball out of the park. You know, when you go up there and you think, I'm going to drive him in, I'm going to hit the ball out of the park, that's when you have all kinds of issues.
The 3-1 from Franklin. And Edmonds reaches base for the first time in this series. Still nobody out, as Lee led off the inning with a double into the left field corner, and then Aramis Ramirez followed with a 2-run home run, his 15th of the year. Ramirez second in all-star balloting among National League third basemen. In fact, the surname Ramirez could be well represented at Yankee Stadium in 10 days.
Yeah, a lot of guys going to make name changes right now, trying to punch that ticket to New York. But those are 3 excellent ball players. Aramis Ramirez, I had an opportunity to play alongside him in 2003, and he's really, you know, an underrated ball player. You know, I didn't realize how good he was, and not just up at the plate offensively, where he does have a plan, he's got an idea, he knows what he's trying to do, but defensively, very fluid. I know Ron Santo, the longtime third baseman for the Cubs, really likes the kid.
Ramirez an all-star 3 seasons ago.
Just very consistent. A run producer, gets the big hit, drive in over 100 runs, penciling it for 30 home runs.
And now Tony La Russa making the trek out to the mound. That will be all for Ryan Franklin. Here comes Kyle McClellan. Kyle McClellan, the new Cardinals pitcher, with the Cubs out on top 4-2. 2 runs in the inning. And Edmonds on at first. Soto flukes one into shallow left center, and it drops in. Edmonds hustling on his way to third, and he is in.
Now McClellan trying to bear this fastball in on Soto's hand, and he does a good job. And this ball is in front of Jim Edmonds as a base runner. He sees what's going on. He can gauge the left fielder coming in. So he knows he doesn't need to look at the third base coach. He can decide for himself. Does a nice job of getting to third base.
Now the infield in with runners on first and third, nobody out. And Mark DeRosa at the plate. DeRosa first pitch. Right field, Ludwig. Here comes Edmonds. And Edmonds is out at the plate.
This is a great throw by Ryan Ludwig, and he doesn't even make a good transfer, but the throw is right there, and Yadier Molina doing a great job of preventing Edmonds from getting a home plate. Now you see the double clutch right there. I saw when he started the double clutch, I'm thinking, no way is he going to be able to throw out the runner. You see Molina in front of the plate, blocking it, not allowing Edmonds to get in there. You see he blocks his hand and then tags him right on the head. Look at that, right on the back. That's really a nice defensive play, and that's why the Cardinals are the top defensive team as far as fielding percentage in the National League. You see that left foot blocking the hand.
Double play, 9-2. Soto moved to second. And now the Cardinals will intentionally walk Mike Fontenot.
That really was a heck of a play. I'm watching the throw in, and Albert Pujols kind of just puts his hands down as the relay guy at first, and I'm thinking he's upset because we're not hitting him. Watching Soto run to second base. But that's why the Cardinals have been in all of the games this year, why they've had such a good record. If you catch the ball, you will allow your team to stay in games and give them a chance to win.
Now Darrell Ward will pinch hit for Neil Kotz. With 2 outs, runners on first and second, 2 runs in the inning for the Cubs. Diamondbacks and Phillies, Twins and Tigers next week. Mets and Rockies as well. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Right here on Fox. Darrell Ward just 2 for 20 as a pinch hitter this season. Soto at second, Fontenot at first. 2 runs on 3 hits. 2 walks in the inning as well. And Ward swinging at the first pitch, pops it up, shallow left. Under it is the shortstop Ryan. He makes the catch, but the Cubs take the lead. Aramis Ramirez, a 2-run shot, 4-2 Chicago. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Sharp Aquas LCD TVs. Change your TV, change your life. By Flomax. And by XM Radio with Major League Baseball, every team, every game. Look at the top of the arch here in St. Louis with the Cubs leading the Cardinals 4-2. Second of a 3-game weekend series. Carlos Marmol in to pitch the 8th for the Cubs. To use Lou Pinella's word, as we chatted with Lou about Marmol before the game, he said earlier this season he was unhittable. But that has not been the case as of late. He's allowed a home run in each of his last 3 appearances as Ankiel drives this one. Just foul of the right field foul pole. Ankiel homered just 2 innings ago.
Yeah, it's become mental for Marmol. It's, you know, he's still got the velocity, he's still got the great stuff, but, you know, the location his last couple outings, you know, he's struggled with. And as you mentioned, Kenny, 3 home runs in his last 3 appearances, 5 earned runs. And he's been great, as you see in the graphic. 21 holds this year. He gets it to the closer, Kerry Wood. He's been lights out for the Cubs. And they've been a strong 1-2 punch. But he's shown some weakness the last couple of outings.
Albert Pujols is on deck, and Lou Piniella told us that Marmol has the best stuff to get Pujols out among all of the guys in his bullpen. And Ankiel goes down on strikes. 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th. The game-changing play brought to you by Sharp Aquas LCD TVs, the official HD TV of Major League Baseball. Sharp Aquas, change your TV, change your life. We bring you 2 outstanding defensive plays by Derek Lee. First on Adam Kennedy to end the 4th inning, and then on Brendan Ryan to end the 5th. Kennedy and Ryan, are those Cardinal infielders or Chicago highways?
That's a good question. Kennedy.
Both robbed by Derek Lee.
Well, and as you mentioned, you talk about those plays. Both of those plays probably they prevent a runner from being on second base, being in scoring position. That's why you talk about defense and how it impacts a game. And we've seen, you know, both of those plays by Derek Lee, you know, Ryan Ludwig, the throw home, and, you know, those don't show up in the statistics in the RBI column or the home run column or the batting average, but they essentially impact runs and the score.
Curve is in for a strike, 2-2 on Pujols, who has reached base in all 3 plate appearances today. A single, a walk, and a double. Scored the Cardinals' second run in the 6th inning. 2-2 for Marmol. Full count. Ron Kloss waiting on deck. 1 out, bottom of the 8th inning. 4-2 Cubs. Payoff pitch to Pujols. The right fielder Fukudome calling off Edmonds for out number 2. It's a week from Tuesday. It's the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Live from Yankee Stadium. It all starts with the All-Star Red Carpet Parade presented by Chevy, as the group of Hall of Famers make a dramatic entrance up New York's 6th Avenue. The celebration begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox. The All-Star Selection Show on TBS tomorrow. Check local listings. 22 players in the American League, 23 in the National League will be voted in by the fans and the players. Another 9 in the American League, 8 in the National League will be chosen by the managers, Terry Francona and Clint Hurdle. And 1 player on each side will be voted in by the fans via the internet, as Gloss flies out to DeRosa. We head to the 9th here in St. Louis. 4-2 Cubs. Top of the order for the Cubs here in the 9th against Kyle McClellan. Ryan Theriot takes a fastball high for ball 1. Theriot 2 for 4. Singled in a run back in the 5th inning. Cubs took a 2-0 lead. Cardinals with 2 runs in the 6th. Cubs 2 in the 8th. Derek Lee led off the 8th inning with a double. Aramis Ramirez followed with a home run. Nice play by Gloss at third. 1 away. This game today, Eric, being played in front of a record crowd here at the 3rd Busch Stadium. 46,865. Largest crowd in the history of this stadium, which opened in 2006.
Yeah, I mean, you could just tell the way that people are around the stadium, all the restaurants, the hotels. I mean, this place is just absolutely packed. You know, a great weekend of baseball, Cubs-Cardinals rivalry. I mean, these are the types of, you know, situations, the environment, the atmosphere that, I mean, at least for me, it's like, man, I wish I could get one more at-bat.
It's amazing that there are more fans here today than the number of fans who attended any game during the 2006 postseason.
It's Cubs-Cardinals.
Kyle McClellan on the mound for the Cardinals. Spent many a day and night in the stands at the old Busch Stadium. Grew up here in the St. Louis area. Cardinal relief pitchers have suffered 18 losses. Tied for the most in the major leagues. Cardinals have also blown 20 saves this year. 3-1 count on Fukudome with Derek Lee on deck and Kerry Wood up and throwing in the Cubs bullpen. Cubs looking to extend their lead to 4.5 games in the National League Central. as Fukudome takes a called strike, so the count is now full.
Well, you know, you talk about the Cubs trying to extend their lead against the Cardinals. And remember, the Milwaukee Brewers are right there, that tied in the loss column with St. Louis right now. And, you know, a lot of talk about them being active in the CC Sabathia sweepstakes. You know, and talking to Lou Piniella prior to the game. You know, he was acknowledging Milwaukee and even pointed out to us how they finished the season, the Cubs and Brewers playing against one another. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Schedule, Eric, is not favorable to the Cubs down the stretch. No. After September 4th, Cubs will play only 6 games at Wrigley Field. 16 of their last 22 games will be on the road.
Yeah, you talk about, you know, does that really make a difference? They're 33-10 right now at Wrigley Field. I mean, that is just dominant. You know, on the road, 19-25.
They'll play 3 here in St. Louis in early September, and they finish with 7 on the road, 3 in New York, and as you mentioned, 4 in Milwaukee. Cardinals will finish their season with 7 in a row here at home. A look at the contrast between the Cubs at home and away from Wrigley.
I mean, playing at Wrigley right now, if you've had an opportunity to see any of the games, I mean, it's just a festive atmosphere. The fans are singing. It's a great place to be. And, you know, as a player, for whatever reason, it lifts your game. You're able to make that play, that diving play. You're able to battle with 2 strikes. And you can't explain it. You can't quantify it. But there's something there.
You were telling me last night how much fun you had during your 1 year as a Cub back in 2003. You lived a couple of blocks from Wrigley, and we were chatting with Cubs bench coach Alan Trammell today. He said the same thing. Walks to and from work every day.
Yep. I spoke to Reed Johnson. I mean, to a person, it's, you know, and I said it when I played in Chicago, that, you know, every player should have an opportunity to experience a summer there. And the only reason I say there where it's different, you know, I mean, St. Louis, a great baseball town. But with Chicago, you know, you can live a couple blocks from the stadium. You walk to and from the park.
Lead down on strikes. 2 away here in the Cubs' 9th.
Now McClellan coming off with an off-speed pitch here out of the zone. And that's a nice pitch. You know, it's one thing about throwing an off-speed pitch to get a hitter off of bounds, but it's another thing of locating it in a certain spot. And even if Lee hits that ball, he's going to beat it into the ground.
So with 2 down, here's Ramirez, who broke a 2-2 tie back in the 8th inning. Also broke an 0-for-28 slump. 15th home run of the season, gave the Cubs a 4-2 lead. That is where we stand with 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning here at Busch Stadium. Ramirez, left center. The catch is made by Ankiel. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Ludwig, Molina, and Kennedy due up against Kerry Wood. Cubs 4, Cardinals 2, bottom of the 9th inning. In St. Louis, Kerry Wood has converted 12 consecutive save opportunities. His pitcher profile brought to you by Zantac. Heartburn, attack it. Zantac. Save number 22 for Wood here at Busch last night. Fastball missing to Ludwig. 1-0. Ryan Ludwig doubled in a run back in the 6th inning, which tied the game at 2. Cubs then scored 2 in the top of the 8th on the Ramirez home run. Great job by our entire crew, as always. Led by producer Jeff Gowan, director Jim Lynch, associate director Eric Billigmeyer, broadcast associate Yvonne Wagner, our technical producer Dan Rotante, technical director Robert Grabko. The 1-1, Wood missing high. Studio show produced by Don Bowie, directed by Bob Levy. Associate director is Stephanie Medina. The coordinating producer of the studio show is Scott Ackerson. The studio technical supervisor is Jack Simmons. Fastball missing high, now 3-1 on Ludwig. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers, David Hill and Ed Gorin. Thanks to Marty Aronoff and Gary Lynn here in the booth, and Mark Seguro down in the truck. Fastball. Full count.
Well, Kerry Wood this year has only walked 9 batters. 54 strikeouts. He's been great with the control. Again, up 2 runs. You just throw this down the middle.
Ludwig gets a piece of it, fouls it back. With Yadier Molina waiting on deck. Cubs have won Wood's last 17 appearances. He's been a perfect 12 for 12 in save situations with a couple of victories. Second in the National League with his 22 saves, and a rare walk issued by Kerry Wood, a leadoff walk here in the 9th, so the potential tying run will come to the plate.
Yeah, that's obviously not what Kerry Wood wanted to do, is walk the leadoff hitter, but really for me, he's been their most valuable player this year. You see Lou thinking a little bit, but Kerry Wood, his ability to take the closer role and be effective has allowed Ryan Dempster, last year's closer, to go to the starting rotation. He's been very effective. Marmol's been the setup guy, and it's all revolved around Kerry Wood's success as a closer.
Here's Yadier Molina, first pitch, fouls it back, 0-1. Molina 1 for 2 lifetime against Wood. Extended his hitting streak to 12 games with an infield single back in the 6th inning. The Cardinals have not won a game this season when trailing after 8 innings. They are 0-32.
Well, Molina, with only 4 home runs this year, just up there right now, trying to move some runners on, get that next guy up to the plate.
One and 2 count on Molina, who had a base hit against Wood last night.
The difference is last night it was dark. Right now you've got the shadows. Got Kerry Wood on the mound throwing 96, 97. You can see the sunspots and the shadow, and as a hitter, very tough to pick up any kind of off-speed pitch, the spin.
Molina, the toughest player to strike out in all of baseball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. Ludwig got it first. Bottom of the 9th inning. Cubs 4, Cardinals 2. The 2-2. And Molina gets a piece of it to stay alive.
But this Cardinal ball club, you can say a lot of things about them. One characteristic that the coaching staff is arguably the most proud of, it's their ability to compete and their never quit attitude. They're doing it again right now.
That's exactly what Tony La Russa says about his ball club. Tony said, quote, "You grow to like certain teams. I like this team. It has a big heart. They come to compete every day." And it started back in spring training.
It really did. And he said a lot of it has to do with the types of players, the character that he has on this team. But, guys vying for playing time, knowing that they don't have that guaranteed job.
Molina held up. There's first base umpire Lance Barksdale, so the count is full.
This is an off-speed pitch out of the zone, and you'd see very close. But, the Cardinals haven't had any calls go their way as far as balls and strikes the last few days. Earlier, Ludwig in this inning. Last night, Ted Barrett behind the plate, some questionable calls.
Ludwig goes. The pitch is away, ball 4. And the Cardinals have runners on first and second with nobody out against Kerry Wood, who will be visited by Larry Rothschild. So Wood, who had walked, as Eric mentioned, only 9 batters in his previous 42 2/3 innings, has walked 2 here in the 9th.
You know, and just as easily as he can put some guys on and get himself into a jam, he has the power arm and the stuff, you know, to strike 3 guys out. You know, he's just got to get out there, maintain his composure, and, you know, make the Cardinals earn it, make them hit the ball. Now, Molina had a very nice at-bat. He fouled off some tough pitches, and as you mentioned, the toughest hitter in the National League to strike out.
So 2 on, nobody out. Adam Kennedy at the plate. Kennedy back in the 6th inning after the Cardinals scored a couple of runs. Came up with first and third, 1 out, grounded into a double play. So an opportunity to redeem himself here, and he does with a base hit down the right field line. Here comes Ludwig. Molina holding at third. It's a double for Adam Kennedy, driving in a run, pulling the Cardinals to within 1.
This is a fastball in the inner half of the plate. What's interesting is Derek Lee coming in to play for the bunt. Okay, so they're anticipating the bunt, which ended up being wrong. But the fact that he was playing off the line was really curious, because as a first baseman, if I'm playing in for a bunt, I might as well guard the line just in case Kennedy does swing, because now you've got runners on second and third. You can lose the game.
And now with Chris Duncan pinch hitting, the Cubs will put him on. Duncan hit a game-tying pinch hit home run Wednesday against the New York Mets. So the Cardinals will have the bases loaded with nobody out, trailing by a run. Skip Schumacher coming up back in May against the Cubs in the 11th inning. A walk-off home run off Chad Fox for Skip Schumacher, who has not hit the ball out of the infield today. He's grounded out 3 times, comes up with the bases loaded, infield in, nobody out, bottom of the 9th inning. Molina on third, Kennedy on second, Duncan on at first. Schumacher swinging away, fouls it off. Back behind third, 0-1.
You know, ideally with the infield in, you know, you're just trying to make contact. Ideally, you'd like to get it in the air.
Schumacher fouled it off his foot. Count now 0-2.
That's off his back leg, wasn't it? That looked like a back legger right there. That's tough to do. Get some sort of point for being able to hit it off your back leg.
Michael Barrett, a former Cub earlier this week, fouled the ball off his own nose.
Yeah, yeah.
So 0-2 on Schumacher with Ryan waiting on deck. Kerry Wood has not retired a batter in this inning. 3 walks, 1 intentional, and a run-scoring double off the bat of Kennedy. Ramirez with the throw home, and the throw to first not in time. So the bases remain loaded with 1 out.
Well, it's just as I mentioned, Kerry Wood, although he got himself into trouble, his stuff could just as easily get himself out. Now, he induces Schumacher to hit a ground ball. Ramirez makes a nice play, and now it's up to Aaron Miles.
Miles pinch hitting for Ryan. 1 for 11 as a pinch hitter this season. Miles had a 15-game hitting streak, which came to an end last night. He went around 0-1.
Well, interesting now because you have the middle infield back. They don't care about the run scoring. They're playing to preserve the game here. Well, the run scores, it's just a tie ball game. They're playing to possibly turn a double play. You have the left-handed hitting Miles up at the plate. A little closer to first base, being on that left side.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Fans thought it hit him.
Yeah, it's that big breaking ball that Kerry Wood's throwing right now. And
Kennedy on third, Duncan second, Schumacher first. 1 run in, bottom of the 9th inning. 4-3 Cubs. The pitch to Miles, and he swings and misses 1-2.
And Miles is just getting beat up inside right now. Kerry Wood going at a breaking ball and then a hard fastball. And these pitches are off the plate, but as a hitter, you know, you're in a situation where you're so excited, you want to get that hit. And sometimes that takes you out of your game. You've got to slow the game down and just think, breathe easy. Just, okay, it's just an at-bat.
Miles pops it up. And the catch is made by the shortstop Terrio for out number 2. So now the Cardinals down to their final out. Our Chevrolet player of the game is Cubs third baseman Aramis Ramirez, who took Ryan Franklin deep in the 8th inning, a 2-run shot. Ramirez had been 0 for his last 28. For more coverage of the Cubs and the Cardinals, log on to foxsports.com/Chevy. Chevy, an American Revolution. The curve is in for a strike to Rick Ankiel, 0-1. Ankiel, 2 hits today, a solo homer back in the 6th inning. Ankiel with a base hit into right center. Kennedy scores. Here comes Duncan. And the Cardinals come back and win the game in the bottom of the 9th inning. Chris Duncan scores the game-winning run. Cardinals' first victory this season when they trailed after 8 innings. They scored 3 in the 9th off Kerry Wood to beat the Cubs 5-4. For Eric Karros, this is Kenny Albert saying so long from St. Louis as we send you to Los Angeles and Jeannie Zelasco. Jeannie?
Guys, thank you so much. Wild finish there. Looking at a potential wild finish in the Bronx as well. Bases are loaded. Mario.